This is Kathie from The Quiet Rebellion, and today we have Gina from the Shabby Creek Cottage with us, and we're going to be talking all about beautiful distractions. So how are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. And so Gina and I have known each other a little time here
A little while, yeah.
on social media. And so she had posted something, or we had talked about beautiful distractions, which I just love. And so before we dive into this topic, maybe you can just tell us all, what is a beautiful distraction?
A beautiful distraction is just how you tap into joy and how you tap into beauty and how you tap into creativity in everyday life. Specifically, I'm using this mindset to distract ourselves from the circus, because the current political climate, their goal, I won't say job because that's not their job. Their job is to take care of American people. But however, their goal is to traumatize us. And so if we don't buy into that and we don't sit and just consume and let them drag us into shock and awe by beautifully distracting ourselves, staying informed, but not to the point to where you're catatonic, which you could be on any given day right now.
Yeah.
Instead, when you choose beautiful distractions and you choose to lean into joy and you choose to lean into the beauty and the good things in life, then you're not as easily manipulated. So I choose beautiful distractions.
Right. And so you just talked about this a little bit, but so how, maybe you could give us a couple of examples about how they could help us simplify our lives and also live in rebellion, if quietly rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It is a very quiet, well, it can be a quiet rebellion. It can also be loud.
Right.
Like, beautiful distractions can be parties. They can be celebrations for celebrating whatever it is in life. It can be coming together with community, and it just means that you are not distracting yourself from your own life. You're distracting yourself from the crap that I don't want to get too angry, but they're running this like a reality show, right? And it's basically turning the channel from either physically or like mentally, where you're not paying attention to their chaos. You're like, y'all are weird. Y'all are doing stuff. But then instead focusing your life and your reality on what's in your life, your real life, and not the way that they're going about it is it's not almost. They're doing it in such a way to shock and awe people and to traumatize people and to keep people in fight or flight mode. But they can only do that if we allow them to, by giving them our attention and our energy. So I focus my attention and my energy on creating more good things in the world, whether that's working on art, gardening, remodeling the house, building community, reading and learning and connecting and building things up instead of being shocked by the destruction that they're causing.
Right. And I had a conversation recently with Jennifer. This will be another podcast. We were talking about wild kindness, but one of the things that she happened to mention, it's great, right? Wild kindness, undomesticated. She also says undomesticated compassion, which I just love.
That too.
I know, right? She's great. Okay, so we had a great conversation anyway. And one of the things that she happened to mention in the conversation was that, because we were talking about community, and she mentioned that, anything that we do inside our homes, including beautiful distractions, will eventually emanate outside of our homes and into our communities. And so if we can rebel against whatever, doom scrolling, zoning out on like weird reality television that just keeps us like numb but doesn't really do anything else for us. I'm not saying that there's a place for all of that, right?
There's
a place for all that. But we have to sometimes like make a concerted effort maybe to do a beautiful distraction. So if someone is new to this idea of a beautiful distraction, how would you advise them to get started?
Well, first, you need to identify what makes you feel bad. What increases your anxiety? Is it doom scrolling? Is it watching too much news? Is it falling down the rabbit holes of, like, usually that's kind of what it is falling down different rabbit holes or paths of consuming too much bad information. That's almost always what it is. Once you identify it, though, then you have to basically cut off that source. You have to cut that source off and ask yourself, what would make me feel good to go and do today? Is that make art? Is that go clean up my closet? What would enrich my life? What would make me feel better today? What would make my world physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally? What would make me feel better if that did not exist? If it just didn't exist? Because if you're not looking at it from a quantum physics point of view, if you're not looking at it, if you're not paying attention to it, theoretically it doesn't exist. I mean, I know it does and it still impacts us somewhat, but you can only do so much in a day. Like, call your congress people, call your attorney generals, call your representatives, spend like 5-10 minutes a day doing that. And then it's not up to you to carry the weight of everything. It's up to you to take care of yourself. And that's in today, doing what you can today, but also like preparing for an uncertain future. And I have found myself doing a lot of that as well. Of what can I do to offset like hardship that might come as a result of what they're doing?
Right.
Gardens, for instance, right? Because that's long-term planning.
Sure. And I think everyone should remember, because we're all in this very addicted to our phones kind of age.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we should all remember, at least I think, because we are kind of addicted to them, we can put them down, but the call to come back to it will be really strong, especially when you first start trying to get away from it or doing other things. And so I think it's important to remember that discomfort like that won't kill you. And the more you practice it, you'll build up kind of an endurance muscle. Just like any sort of strength training or anything else, you build up an endurance or a tolerance to ignoring it, and then you'll be able to do the other things that bring you joy, perhaps.
I mean, that's why I call them distractions, because I don't know about you, but I have ADHD, right? So when I hyper focus on something, I completely forget about my phone. Like, I can go hours and not pick my phone up.
Right.
If I'm painting, or if I'm working on a piece of art, or if I'm gardening, or if I'm baking bread, or whatever, even if I'm just talking to a friend, like,
Right.
I can spend hours and hours and hours sitting on my sofa chatting with a friend and having snacks and drinks and just having a good old time and never pick my phone up,
Right.
because I'm beautifully distracted. I'm distracted from the things that make me feel worse instead of making me feel better.
And it's important, again, to remember that those very things will emanate from our homes and allow us to do maybe some more loud forms of rebellion, if that's what you're into. It can allow you to protest. It can allow you to give you some energy to put forward for volunteering, if that's what you want to do in your community. I'm big on that. You know, it allows for all of that kind of thing. That's just a really wonderful kind of idea, right? And so
yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, because when you do those things, it creates good feelings, good vibrations, good energy within you. So then you are more capable of playing the long game,
right,
of staying true to what you want to accomplish. You're not all riled up, because when they get you riled up by over consuming media, right? This is what happens. So when you instead choose to do things and focus on things that make your life richer and make you feel better, that energy is going to carry out into the rest of the world. And so then when you go to protest, or you go to raise money for a cause that helps, you're already filled up with positivity and positive energy and goodness. And that's what's going to spill out when you go to tap into those energy reserves.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And I was also going to say excuse me. Okay, so if we're participating in beautiful distractions and not doom scrolling and not maybe engaging in watching so much news, we're also turning off marketing, which allows us to consume a whole lot less, because we're a lot less likely to buy if we're not bombarded by marketing messages. Now, I've been practicing a simple life for a long time. I'm really good at tuning out marketing, right? There's hardly ever anything I need. But, you know, it does help when you're not tempted. So the more you kind of focus on the things that bring you joy, which hopefully isn't shopping, because shopping is a temporary joy, everybody. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it's a temporary joy. It's a temporary high.
It is a temporary joy.
It's temporary.
It's because you're getting dopamine, but it's through the lens of adrenaline and not through either oxytocin or serotonin. And so when you get dopamine from creative pursuits, it literally affects your brain differently.
Right. And you know, these beautiful distractions, they can be your hobbies, correct? They could just be, if you like
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
that's a beautiful distraction. And you can use that if you're like I am, where I'm like, I could knit myself another sweater, but I don't really, at this point in my life, really need one. But I can absolutely knit hats and scarves
Mhm.
to allow
Mhm.
myself to knit and donate those to, the homeless shelter or the warming
Mhm.
center or whatever. So think of it that way. It allows you to rebel and be an activist all at the same time and participate in something that you really like to do, right?
Yeah.
And anything like that. So make the quilts for the babies in the hospital and, sew the dog beds and make your home beautiful. Do all those things just to make yourself healthy. Now, I know, right? I know some of us are just overwhelmed, right? Because we might be working full time, we may have kids, we might be taking care of aging parents or a sick partner or spouse. This part of life right now, this modern time, it's a lot of chaos. So how can someone find time for a beautiful distraction or make it part of their routine even when they might feel so overwhelmed by life and the idea of one more thing is just
So that's the beauty of it. You don't have to add on something to your to-do list.
right.
You just romanticize your everyday life. You're going to make dinner anyway, right?
Right.
So why not put on some beautiful music and like pretend you're in your own little version of a Nancy Myers movie? Why not, decide to find you some thrifted aprons and baskets for your garden and pretend that you're living the Martha Stewart life?
Right.
It is literally by some of it, yes, it's going to be everyday things that you need to get done, like going to the grocery store. Eventually, it will get to the point to where you don't have to pretend to be somebody else, but it's a lot easier in the beginning if you pretend that you are doing it like a character in a movie or a television show, right? So, like when I think about going grocery shopping, do you remember that show from Nigella Lawson?
Oh
Do you
gosh,
know
yeah,
her?
I do. I like her a lot.
I
I
love
haven't.
her.
I'm always afraid to be like, oh, I loved her, and then find out she's like a really horrible person nowadays. But I don't think she is. I don't think we all
Yeah, I
know.
don't know that she
I
is.
haven't heard from her in a while. So
I haven't either. However,
yeah,
I loved her show, and
yeah,
specifically like the way that she would go to the market, and it just felt so, I don't know, it just felt so romanticized.
right,
And we forget in our rush to the stripping down of beauty and specifically America.
right. We don't we don't want to have any sort of extra things on a routine because nobody needs another to-do list. Nobody needs another to-do list. But we do want to allow ourselves to have fun and she's mentioning dinner and I have said this in other episodes. Dinner can be a sandwich, right? It doesn't have to be this huge thing. It can be when you want it to be, but we all need to eat 3 times a day every day, maybe more than that. And so sometimes simple is fine, but we can still make it a beautiful distraction.
Oh yeah, they actually pay attention to your meal. Yeah,
Right. And
yeah.
remember that these things can actually be sort of a rest from the chaos of the world, I think. And we could all use a little more rest, I think.
Well, the other thing is when you're rested and when you take the time to explore your hobbies and to express your creativity and all those good things, when you go to do the work that you have to trudge through, you're actually more effective at it. And so
Right.
you're more productive because you are rested not just mentally, you're like physically, emotionally. Like it is the epitome of like filling your own cup
Right.
because you shouldn't drain yours to fill somebody else's. You're supposed to fill yours and then other people get the overflow
Right.
of when you continue to pour into you then the goodness that spills out. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Not to let me fill myself up halfway and then like split it around and then I'm constantly trying to catch up and
Right.
refill. No, you fill yourself up
Right.
and then the spillage over the top when
Right.
you give and give and give and give and give and give and give to yourself, which I know for a lot of women is going to sound selfish, but when you are full enough and you have focused on yourself and your energy and your well being, and you actually feel well, you're much more efficient at
Right.
working, at
Yes.
taking care of your home, at taking care of your family. You're far more effective and you can do more stuff in less time
That's
because
right.
you're not so exhausted.
Right. And let's just be honest, when I am less exhausted, when I am less frazzled, when I'm less overwhelmed, I'm nicer to be around. I
Yeah.
mean, and I like myself better because I know I'm not ready to like snap, right, at
Mm-hmm.
somebody for, I saw a bumper sticker one time that said like hell hath no fury like me when I'm hungry and mildly inconvenienced.
That is
And
so true.
It is so true, right? Like sometimes it just takes the littlest thing to set you off. But that little thing wouldn't set you off if you were fed both emotionally and physically and spiritually and everything else. So absolutely take care
Mhm.
of yourself. So wise, so wise. Okay, and so because we don't want to necessarily, so we can participate in beautiful distractions. You've been talking about it, making dinner, creating art. So we can absolutely have a beautiful distraction without buying something
Oh, yeah.
special.
I mean, let's face it, you probably got enough craft supplies in your closet to last you the rest of your life unless you get distracted by an ad that tells you you need another one.
Right. Right. And this includes social media because there are, believe me, y'all, I get it. I will be watching something on social media and I'll be like, I need to try that craft, but I don't have whatever I need to do that. Right. So I'd have to, like, I saw somebody doing some really beautiful wood burning things. Okay. And
Mhm.
first of all, I'm just going to be really honest. Like, of course, I would be new at it and would not be able to do it anywhere near the level of beauty that person was doing.
Mm.
But I would have to go buy a wood burning tool, and I've got plenty of logs and wood. But I don't need to go to do that for like because I'll probably try it once and realize I'm not very good at it, and I might give up. I know
But
nobody's good at anything the first
well,
time they
no,
try
that's
it.
not what I was going to say. I was going to say when there's something new like that that I feel inspired by,
Yeah,
right? Then I put it in my little noggin and I'm like, hey, if I ever run across one of those
yeah,
thrifting, I'm going to grab it. And you would be surprised at how often you will come across those basic
I
things.
agree. I agree. Actually, I often say from a frugality standpoint, anytime something comes up that you feel like you want it, hold on to that for a couple of days or longer. Likely it'll pass within a couple of days and you'll realize you never really wanted it or needed it to begin with. That's probably true in most of the cases. And then the other cases, you will eventually find it used somewhere for cheap if you wait.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are times when certain times we can't do that,
Yeah, obviously. But
but
for the
for a
most
lot of
part,
things, you can.
I mean, even I'm working on I'm working on my house, right? And I've been
Yeah,
working
yeah.
on it for a while. I want to make some Roman shades, right? And I had most of the stuff. I found some gorgeous fabric at an estate sale, and then I found some other things on the like lines to make them with, because it's easiest if you make them with cordless lines on Facebook Marketplace. But the little plastic ring things that you need to put on the fabric itself to make them functional, I didn't want to buy new. And a couple of weeks ago, I was thrifting and I found 4 brand new packs of them for
There you
50
go.
cents.
See, you can't beat it. Right, exactly.
Like if I think it's part of that manifesting because I'm very much I believe in
Yeah,
manifesting, right? It's the beauty of
yeah,
being a witch. But
yeah.
if I tell the universe I want something, it will bring it to me. You just
Right,
have to tell it what you want. Whether you're no matter what you believe in spiritually, that's pretty much universally true. If you decide what you want and you're like, okay, it'll come to me. I'll find it or it'll make its way to me. Dude, it always does every
right.
time.
And I would also say, in that vein, remember to tell people, right? Like tell people that you know you're close with. I mean, I'm not meaning like the cashier at the checkout stand. I mean, although
Right.
if you know her well, that or him well, that's one thing. But like, tell your friends and stuff. And there's plenty of times where I have told people I am looking for this certain thing, whatever it might be,
Mhm.
and if you see it at a thrift store or whatever, just pick it up. I'll pay you back. And there have been times in my life where that happened, or where people have even been like, I've got a whole drawer full of those things that I'm not using. Right.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
absolutely. And in the world, now that we have like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and Facebook
Facebook buy nothing
groups,
groups.
all
Oh
those kinds
yeah,
of things,
those groups.
put that stuff out there. I have purchased like actual things for my life, like a grain. I have a grain mill attachment so I can grind like wheat and barley and things like that
Mhm.
on my KitchenAid attachment, my KitchenAid mixer attachment. I ran an ad in the local sale paper. This was before Craigslist, so it was a long time ago. Just asking for one. Like that I'll buy one, but if you have one, let me know. And I received several calls from people who were like, I've got them. I've got two. I got them for my wedding and they've just been sitting in a box or whatever. So always put that out there. Let people know. And because you can
Mhm.
run ads for free online, it doesn't cost you anything to do it.
Yeah.
Go for it
Yeah.
to find whatever you need for your house and that kind of thing. Beautiful distractions. It's a great idea. So we are not advising that you go shopping and do some sort of weird haul to have a beautiful distraction in your life.
No, I don't think you have to Although trust me, I love to go to the craft store and
Yeah,
and buy things. Like that's very much a dopamine seeking activity.
right,
But I don't think you need to. I actually think you feel better in the long run if you get creative with what you already have.
right.
So, the things that you already own, you bought them for a reason.
That's right.
So go and use them. Whether that's craft projects you started and you never finished, or if it's clothes in the back of your closet that you bought at one time and then you forgot that you had those, and your beautiful distraction today might be putting on a really pretty outfit instead of yoga pants and a t-shirt.
Right.
It might be taking an additional 5 minutes to get dressed in the morning and deciding to explore what your style is. Maybe that's your beautiful distraction right now. But I don't think you need to go and shop. Like I'm on a low buy, only buying the essentials for the most part quest right now as well. And I have found that it's actually more satisfying to like clean my craft room and find the things that I forgot I had bought and I had plans for it. I'm like, oh, I should finally do that. Because number one, you get the dopamine from doing it, from
Right.
finding it, and that like happy, that little burst of happy from finding it. And then you do the project. And then when you're finished, especially if it's a gift, like I'm doing a lot of gifts for the holidays already, like
Sure.
I'm thinking ahead. And then you get to celebrate it again whenever you give that gift, if
Right.
it's a gift idea. So I don't know. These are just things that I'm working on, and it's unlimited. Like whatever is a beautiful way to find joy in your life, that's what a beautiful distraction is.
Right. And it can be something as simple as one of my favorite beautiful distractions was, as we've been talking, I'm like, what do I do? That's a one of my favorites is, honestly, I am blessed to have my grandmother's china, right? So I have
Hmm.
her china from when she got married. And so sometimes I just like to pour a cup of tea in one of her little cups, right? Which I wouldn't do on a daily basis because I would drink out of I have other mugs, right? Because her
Hmm.
cups are dainty and they're small, and I usually want the
Yeah.
big mug, right? I want the big mug. But I will have a cup of her tea at the table, and I'll journal by candlelight, or I'll read a book, from by at the table. And so that just that simple little bit, it allows me to kind of reset, make sure my phone is sitting somewhere. I like to go for a walk too. Let's just be really honest. I love to be outside, so that's for me.
Hmm.
That's often how I calm down. But that's just a really great idea to just take something simple in your life and just turn it a little bit. So use the good china. So many times we wait for like a
Hmm.
special occasion to use the whatever. Use it now. Pull out grandma's china. Pull out the really good stuff. Doesn't have to only be for company or only for the holidays or only for
No, you
occasion.
should. I'm telling you, it truly is just about romanticizing your life. It's just through a different lens. Like there is a purpose and a need because the whole idea behind romanticizing your life has been around for a while, but it felt frivolous and it felt unnecessary. I think beautiful distractions is literally just another version of romanticizing your life, but now we're doing it for survival.
Right. Right. And it can be practical too. You can I love to can. I love to can, but it's also very much a very practical thing, and I enjoy doing it, and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. My husband and I, when we don't grow cherries, but we buy them cuz a little further south of us, it's the climate is warmer. It's around Flathead Lake, and so they have cherry orchards.
Mhm.
I can't grow them here where I live. And we like it's a party. Like he pits the cherries and I'm like packing them in the jar and putting them in the canner. Like we turn on some music. Usually we listen to the blues and we just really go at it. And it's a fun time. And we don't think about anything else that's going on in the world during that time. So it's
No.
a beautiful distraction. And this is what you're talking about. Perfect. All right. Well,
Yep, that's exactly.
is there anything else you want to tell us about beautiful distractions that we should know or try?
Well, that's a good. I think probably this is my other little thing, and these tie together so well. My other thing is I'm in the year of what I call too damn much. Like I'm forcing myself to be too much, and so every time I think, well, I really want to do this thing, but oof, is that too fill in the blank? If you don't know where to find beautiful distractions, maybe that's a little rabbit hole you could fall down. Like, what is it that I want in life, but it feels like it's too much? Because that's truly what you want. You wouldn't have fear around it if it wasn't what you wanted. So maybe try asking yourself what feels too much, what feels too frivolous, what feels too whimsical, what feels too, I don't know, whatever, too much trouble. It's not too much. It's what you want. You're just afraid to honor that for yourself. And so, um, Yeah, I have been on a mission to encourage women to be too much
Right.
and to embrace that through beautiful distractions, I
Right.
think. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
As a quick aside, Elise Myers, who's I think she was pretty
Yeah.
popular on TikTok for a while, and maybe Instagram too. I'm sure I followed her on Instagram for a while. A long time
Mhm.
ago, she had a reel where someone was like, "You're just too much." Like they told her too much, and she said her response was, "Go find less."
Yes, I love her, by the way.
And I love that idea. And I love that idea if we did it, because I would be willing to tell somebody else that. So, but what if I turned that back on myself? Go find less. That doesn't feel good, right? Like
Mm-mm.
I don't want to be less in my own life. I want to be more. And so
Mhm.
I think that's a good thing. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. No one dies from being uncomfortable. I mean, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
Just
you'll be
build
fine.
that muscle. Just build that
Yeah.
muscle.
Yep.
Great. All right. Well, tell everybody where we can find you online.
You can find me on mostly on Instagram. I'm an Instagram girl at heart.
She is really good too.
Yeah, I love Instagram. So you can find me there at the Shabby Creek Cottage. You can also find my blog at theshabbycreekcottage.com. I've had it a very long time, since 2009.
Mhm.
I've been sharing all kinds of things, honestly, and I used to try to keep it into a tight niche, but now I just don't. I just write what I want to write about. Also, I have a magazine.
Yeah.
I have a physical and a digital magazine. This is the March issue.
Yeah, nice.
And you can find both the print and the digital issues at GinaLukerArt.com.
Perfect. And I'll put all those links in the show notes so people can actually just click. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I always love talking to you.
Yeah, I know. We have such a good time.
Me too.